When you hear the term alien invasion, do you think end of the world or just another day in the office? Personally, it's the latter for me, but let me know your reaction in the comments. Let's start off today with what might have been one of the world's first UFO crashes ever, which took place over in Italy. According to Italian researcher Roberto Pinotti, he believes the first modern aliens arrived in Italy rather than America. Apparently, the first aliens did not emerge from the wreckage at Roswell, and forget about them hanging around Alien 51. Roberto has been investigating a rumored UFO crash in Italy from back in the 1930s, and he's been doing the study since 1996, which was before I was born. And in more recent years, somebody mailed him some strange documents anonymously. Hey, chuckle all you want, but we tend to give anonymous whistleblowers the benefit of the doubt until proven otherwise around here. No, this corner of the interwebs. These records revealed attempts to conceal the occurrence. Now, the researcher is the National Ufological Center's president and claims to have proof not just of the 1933 UFO crash, but also of a secret department established by Benito Mussolini, you know, the famous former dictator of Italy. If you couldn't guess, this was to investigate the rumored UFO. According to the researcher, an unidentified flying object fell near Milan. RS-/33 was the name of the research team, and Guglielmo Marconi was in charge. For those who are unfamiliar, especially since I probably butchered his first name, I apologize, I speak French, not Italian. He was the inventor of the radio and a supporter of Mussolini's fascist administration. According to a quote from Pinotti in an interview, in 1996, his colleague Alfredo Lusoni and himself began investigating the story of the 1933 UFO crash in Lombardy when they received some original secret documents about said case. The documents were obtained from someone who claimed to have inherited them from a family member, and this family member allegedly worked with Mussolini's RS-33. I know, you're probably asking right now, hey Alexa, what were the contents of the documents? 2 telegrams written in Italian in June of 1933, if I'm being exact. One requested absolute silence over an alleged landing on national soil of unknown aircraft, while another issued orders for immediate arrest and maximum penalties against anyone reporting on aircraft of unknown nature and origin on June 13th. According to the Daily Mail, this was the personal order of Mussolini. The UFO, according to Roberto, was kept in a hangar near Milan, and this lasted until the Allies seized control of Italy during the Second World War. The UFO was then captured and returned to the United States by American troops. I could go on a whole separate tangent about alien tech, Second World War theories, and America covering up alien bodies around the world, but we'd be here all night. Nevertheless, that all seems mighty suspicious to me. Anyone else? Okie dokie. Time to throw an imaginary dart at the wall and see what we land on next. Good old Scientology. So this is a set of beliefs and practices invented by the American author L. Ron Hubbard, who developed a set of ideas he called Dianetics, which he represented as a form of therapy. Yeah, emphasis on the air quotes here. The organization that he established in 1950 to promote it went bankrupt, and then he lost the rights to his book in 1952. But he then recharacterized his ideas as religion for tax purposes and renamed them Scientology. If you know, you know. By 1954, he had regained the rights to Dianetics and founded the Church of Scientology, which remains the largest organization promoting Scientology. There are practitioners independent of the church in what is called the Free Zone. Estimates put the number of Scientologists at just under 40,000 worldwide. Not a lot of people. Scientology beliefs include reincarnation and that traumatic events cause problematic engrams in the mind. They believe that an activity called auditing can remove the bad engrams. Oh, and you're charged a fee for each session because they gotta make their money somehow. Once an auditor deems an individual free of engrams, typically after several years, they're given the status of clear. Now, after being deemed clear, adherents can take part in further activities called operating thetan levels, which require further payments. Hey, somebody's gotta pay Tom Cruise. The operating thetan texts are kept secret from most followers and revealed only after adherents have typically given hundreds of thousands of dollars to the Scientology organization. If you don't have ridiculous amounts of money to burn, don't worry, they're freely available online on sites such as WikiLeaks. And if you don't want to waste your time, these texts say past lives took place in extraterrestrial cultures. I don't agree with Scientology, but I do agree with aliens visiting Earth, or else we wouldn't be here today. They involve an alien called Xenu, described as a planetary ruler 70 million years ago who brought billions of aliens to Earth and killed them with thermonuclear weapons. Despite being kept secret from most followers, this forms the central mythological framework of Scientology's, psyche. It makes sense, I swear. From soon after the formation, all of the Scientology groups have generated considerable amounts of opposition and controversy, mostly because of illegal activities. In 1967, Hubbard established a new elite group, the Sea Organization, or Sea Org, the membership of which was drawn from the most committed members of the church. Now, by 1981, 21-year-old, at the time, David Miscavige, who had been one of, big guys closest second-in-commands rose to prominence. Hubbard died at his ranch in Creston, California in January of 1986, and Miscavige succeeded him as the head of the church, a position he holds till this day. Now, he's done a lot of shady stuff, but we're not going to touch on that today. I've talked about it ad nauseum. The Church of Scientology has been described by government inquiries, international parliamentary bodies, scholars, law lords, and numerous superior court judges as both a dangerous cult and a manipulative profit-making business. I could talk for, hours and hours about how awful they are, but the most important thing is that, well, we share a belief, ancient aliens coming to Earth, educating everybody. Alrighty, this is something that has always stumped me, so we're gonna move along, but let's just think about this for a moment. The graffiti inside the Great Pyramids. Yes, I'm gonna explain. In the heart of the city of El Giza stands the Giza Pyramid Complex, also known as the Necropolis. This architectural marvel contains 3 pyramids: the Pyramid of Khafre, the Pyramid of Menkaure, and of course, the Great Pyramid of Giza. I'd like to visit there someday, ideally. Though each was created for a different pharaoh, many historians are convinced that their collective design is cohesive and intentional, as the arrangement of these structures is possibly a representation of the Orion constellation. The complex's crown jewel is, though, the Great Pyramid. We've all heard about it, we all know it, we all love it. Most believe that it was erected under the watchful eye of the great pharaoh Khufu to be a tomb where the king would complete his transformation into a god in the afterlife. Standing 146.7 meters high and stretching 234.4 meters wide, it looms above everything around it. It was assembled from 2.5 million stone blocks, some of which came from over 500 miles away, which is particularly amazing when you consider that they didn't have the use of wheels at the time and that construction took only 20 years. Look, if that sounds like a lot to anybody, try living in Toronto where construction takes that long to renovate a single road. Whoever designed and built the pyramids had incredibly detailed knowledge and architectural skill. When completed, the pyramid towered over the city, and its corners aligned almost exactly with the points of a compass. In general, Egyptians often oriented structures to true north quite precisely, likely using stars such as Polaris to orient their work, and the Great Pyramid is no exception. The origins and composition of the Great Pyramid, our oldest wonder of the world and its slightly less famous kin, have long confounded scholars. How did engineers manage to achieve all of this so fast? Well, nobody knows. Genuinely, nobody has any idea, well, with absolute certainty that is. While some believe that construction workers may have used large ramps to transport the stones, this theory has been largely disproven because there's not a lot of archaeological evidence to support the claim. So, this is where our lovely ancient aliens come into play. They must have helped. I'm not saying they did all the work, that would be discrediting the incredible workers from history. But it's true that it would have been difficult for humans to build the pyramids. And there is missing history about how they were built. A lot of folks have proposed that aliens came to Earth in ancient times just help kickstart civilization. They're not responsible for all of it. Well, I don't think so anyways. But they just gave us a little nudge. A helping hand, if you will. According to these theories, the aliens were instrumental in helping ancient Egyptians build their masterpieces. Believers like us kind of argue that in order to design the pyramids as they are, you'd kind of want a bird's eye view. The kind that could be provided from, I don't know, a flying saucer? Also, in order to create an object that obeys the so-called golden ratio, a mathematical relationship based on 5, the Egyptians might have wanted some help from outside sources. Look, this theory has persisted to today. It's still going. We all talk about this. Let's go back to 2001. Russian scientist Dr. Viktor Ivanovich claimed that the KGB had found ancient alien remains inside the Great Pyramid. Hey, it's got quite the inner network of shafts, passageways, and chambers that is so intricate that it's not hard to understand why people believe that some sort of divinity or superintelligence could be involved. Also, the only hieroglyphs inside are graffiti, alleged to be left behind by those who worked on the structure as a signature, which only further supports my theory on the aliens only knowing that to communicate with us by. I've talked about this theory time and time again, but like time capsules, the pyramids are physical symbols of ancient wisdom. Look, they're made of glittering golden limestone, and they always remain around a cool 20 degrees centigrade inside, which provides glimpses of an ancient society that once near the kind of technological intelligence we possess today. Who knows? Maybe in 2,000 years, historians will speculate about the extraterrestrial origins of our fallen civilization, and maybe by then they'll be able to consult them for help. Next up, stories from the Ramayana. In Hindu mythology, the gods and their avatars travel from place to place in flying vehicles called vimana. There are many mentions of these flying objects in the Ramayana, which used by the king Ravana from Sri Lanka dates to the 5th or 4th century BCE. Obviously, I do have some examples. So from Book 6, The Magic Car, is not the wondrous chariot mine, named Pushpak, wrought by hands divine. This chariot, kept with utmost care, will waft thee through the fields of air, and thou shalt light unwearied down in fair Ayodhya's royal town. From the departure, swift through the air, as Rama chose, the wondrous car from earth arose, and decked with swans and silver wings, bore through the clouds its fright of kings. Eric von Daniken discusses the Ramayana and Vimanas in chapter 6, Chariots of the Gods. astronauts, suggesting that they were space vehicles. To support his hypothesis, he offers a quotation, which he says is from an 1889 translation of the Mahabharata by C. Roy. Bhima flew with his Vimana on an enormous ray, which was as brilliant as the sun and made a noise like the thunder of a storm. The existence of the text was revealed in 1952 by G.R. Joycer, who asserted that it was written by Pandit Subbaraya Shastri, who dictated it during the years between 1918 to 23. A Hindi translation was published in 1959, while the Sanskrit text with an English translation was published in 73. It contains a lot of information in which Shastri claimed was psychically delivered to him by the ancient Hindu sage Bahajava. This text tends to be great proof for those of us who believe in ancient astronauts, otherwise known as the Anunnaki, which brings me to my next and final point. Seriously, did you think I was going to end today without going more in depth about the Anunnaki? Please! It's often suggested that the Anunnaki possessed the technology to either fly, either within our atmosphere, or between planets. Ancient depictions of winged gods or flying discs get cited as evidence. Which kind of support modern day UFO theories and beliefs, something I believe in. Depictions of modern craft found in ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs have been hailed as proof of an advanced alien civilization visiting our ancestors, which is believed to be none other than the Anunnaki. For folks like us, hieroglyphs, yep, you heard me, appearing to resemble planes and helicopters in artwork done thousands of years ago, kinda makes us believe that ancient Egyptians were visited by the aliens. Look, if ancient civilizations were putting helicopters and modern spacecrafts in their artwork, they had to have some idea where that was coming from. They had to see it somewhere. Or they had really great imaginations, but that kind of makes sense to me. Look, some folks even go so far as to believe that all or some humans are either descendants or creations of extraterrestrial intelligence, because they just landed on Earth and decided to repopulate. An associated idea is that human knowledge, religion, and culture came from extraterrestrial visitors way back when, so the Anunnaki acted as some sort of a mother culture. The evidence for ancient astronauts comes from documentary gaps in history and archaeological records, while citing archaeological artifacts that are believed to be beyond the technical capabilities of the people who made them. While I don't completely agree with that theory, there are elements of it that you can't explain otherwise. These are referred to as out-of-place artifacts and include quite a bit of artwork that it makes sense. And that brings us to the end of our time, and once again, I stand by my theory that we'd be chatting with ancient aliens a lot more if we used hieroglyphs more frequently. If you enjoyed my ramblings today, could you help us out by giving this video a like, subscribing if you aren't already, hit the bell for more ancient alien chatter from us here at Top 5 Scary Videos, and I'll see y'all next time, you lovely spooky people.